What's up, y'all? I'm back out here on the range, as you can see, on another cold, sunny day. Temperatures well below freezing right now. It's supposed to get up to a little above freezing, but that's probably going to be by the time I'm ready to head out of here. So it's definitely going to be a chilly one today. Luckily, the sun is supposed to come out. It's teasing right now, so hopefully it does warm it up a little bit. And I'm not supposed to have much wind until I'm ready to go, so I shouldn't have no problem getting through this one without freezing. I've definitely got a few good ones on the agenda for today, and we're going to start it out with some more 5.7 by 28. So we got the jelly contraption set up ready to go with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel out here. First test of the day, so you get a crystal clear picture of what happens on this one. As you can see, as usual, I'm using a heavy clothing barrier that's got the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got for this one are a couple of 5.7 rounds that were actually sent to me to test out. I'm not sure if the person wanted his name mentioned, but we'll just call him T, and I really appreciate that. So what we got first off is some Hornady Critical Defense. Now, I've tested these a couple of different times. In my opinion, this is one of the best 5.7 by 28 rounds out there right now. It is not cheap at all, but it has some really good performance. It's a 40 grain FTX. Now, they're saying 1,810 feet per second at the muzzle, but on my previous test, we have exceeded that even out of this rock that we're running here. So really nice velocity from this Critical Defense. There you can see your cartridge, brass case with, of course, that FTX projectile with the insert inside of it. And what we're putting beside it is some very fancy stuff. This right here is considered by, I would say, maybe most people that run 5.7 to be the cream of the crop as far as 5.7 goes. We've got some Vanguard Outfitters Black Dragon Fang. Now, this is a 34 grain projectile. This is a solid copper projectile here. I'll show you. Very nice looking cartridge. You got that plated case there with that black plate, that coating on it, and the projectile itself. Again, this is a lathed copper projectile, solid copper, so you can see it's also got that black coating on it. Now, the ballistic for this is saying 2200 out of an FN 5.7, which is a 4.8 inch barrel. This Rock 5.7 is a 4.7, what they call it, so virtually the same barrel length. And they did also list a PS 90 velocity of 2800. So if this hits that velocity, even with the little bit lighter projectile, we're definitely going to outdo the Critical Defense as far as energy. Now, one thing I will say is this stuff is not cheap at all. I mean, it's quite a bit more expensive than this Critical Defense, so we'll see if we get that much more performance out of it. And as far as the action of this projectile, I'm really not sure what exactly it's meant to do. If it's supposed to stay together, I think it is, but it may be a fragmenting thing where that top piece breaks off, so we'll just see what it does and go from there. And then, like I mentioned, what I'm testing it out of here today is the Rock 5.7 with the 4.7 inch barrel. I'll probably do another test with these. Well, I'm definitely going to do another test because I've got some stuff coming that people are always mentioning when it comes to this 5.7, but for now we're just going to do these head to head out of the Rock. And I think I might have jinxed myself about the wind because I'm starting to feel a breeze pick up, and it is incredibly cold out here. So let me quit all my chit chatting and get this stuff set up and see what it does. All right, let's see what kind of velocity we can get out of these things. I'm going to do a 3 round average on these. I'm going to switch things up just a little bit here. I'm only going to do 3 rounds just because of those Vanguard rounds. I've got a really interesting follow-up video I want to do. It's not going to be today. I'm waiting on some things to get here, but I want to make sure I've got enough. So I think 3 rounds will give us a plenty good enough average and idea of the consistency. Plus, we'll have the 4th one right there in the other chrono. So I'm going to do 3 rounds, and I'm also going to run a random warm-up round just before the 3, just since I'm only doing 3. So I've got a VMAX right on top of these. So I'm going to run that warm-up round, and then I'm going to get the average from the 3. So Critical Defense first. Now, if y'all aren't familiar with this lab radar, like I always mention, you're going to see multiple velocity readings from it. The large one is right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is where the gel is here at 10 feet roughly, and then the others are set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. So this was saying 1810. Again, we have seen more than that on the last test, and I think right at or more than it on the first one. So first one here is just a warm-up VMAX. All right, got that. Get our trigger going here, and we'll get us a 3 round average. 1767, 1765, and 1787, so very consistent, but lower than that 1810 and lower than we've seen in the past. So it is cold out here, so I guess we'll give it that excuse, but right there at the 1810 anyway. Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average right there was 1,773 feet per second. Now we had an extreme spread of 23 with a 12.5 standard deviation, but that's only 3 rounds, so take that for what it's worth, but not bad on the consistency at all. 1773 is right much slower than we've seen in the past from this, so I guess I'll give it to cold as the benefit of the doubt. Y'all give it to cold if you want, or just hold it to right there that it just didn't meet it this time. All right, let's see what kind of bite these Fangs have, y'all. I'm gonna do the same deal here. I'm gonna send this VMAX first as a warm-up barrel. Now remember, these are saying 2200. That's out of an FN 5.7, which is technically a 0.1 longer than this, but virtually the same. So let's do the warm-up first. Then let's get our thing armed here. 2037. This feels more powerful. 2078 and 2060. So again, not the 2200. I mean, I guess we have to give them the benefit of doubt of this really cold temps out here, but definitely much faster right there. Let's check out the average. All right, definitely a good bit faster right there. Now granted, we are talking about a little bit lighter projectile there, but we had a 5-round average of 2058, an extreme spread of 41 with a 20.7 standard deviation. Now again, take that right there for what it's worth, because it's just a 3-round average. 2058, they were saying 2200, so once again, you can give it the benefit of the doubt with the cold weather. That's on you, but you know, it is a little bit off from what the box is claiming. So 2058 there, and if you remember on that critical defense, it was 1773, so you talking about a big difference right there. That's 285 feet per second faster from that Vanguard. Now again, it is a little bit lighter, but not that much, so that's a huge, huge difference right there. Definitely more than significant in my opinion. But all this being said, I think they're both going to do a pretty good job here in the gel. The critical defense, we've seen it in the past. It's done a good job both times. Maybe a little bit lacking this time just because of the little lower velocity. This Vanguard, I'm very curious to see what it does. I'm going to be honest, in my opinion already, just based on this velocity, it's going to be the best 5.7 by 28 round that I personally tested, just on the velocity alone. It doesn't matter what it does here in the gel, because these 5.7 by 28 rounds, none of them do anything very spectacular in the gel, so it's all about the penetration and energy in my opinion. So hopefully we'll see some good stuff from both of these in the gel. Let me get it all set up. Y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's sink your teeth in jelly time. I'm gonna put one of each of these into the gel, starting with this critical defense first. Now we've seen this on multiple occasions 2 different times, but both times they did well, so I expect them to do pretty well right here. All right, should be a good one right there. Let me go check it out. All right, y'all, no real surprise right there. Very, very nice looking performance. Unfortunately, I didn't get a reading on my chrono right here. I've had that happen in the past with these really light 5.7 rounds that are moving real fast. And I've got my light bar. There's really just nothing else I can do about it. It just doesn't like these things up close. Well, let's see if it'll catch the reading on these Fangs for us. All right, that should have been another nice one. That's looking messy down there. Let me go see what we got. All right, let's check out what we got down here, y'all. Very, very nice performance from both of these. Pretty much what I expected. A little more penetration than what I expected with this Vanguard, which in my opinion is definitely a good thing. And I kind of figured it would either tumble or fragment, and it looks like it tumbled to get its disruption. And I'm pretty sure this is meant to. So this is one of those times where you're going to hear me talk about the tumbling as a good thing. And tumbling is never a bad thing, really, in my opinion. But I believe when they're made to tumble like that, that's definitely a good thing that it actually did and gave you some really nice looking disruption. So looking at them one by one, we'll start with the critical defense. This did what it did the last 2 times I tested it, basically exactly the same. Really nice transfer of energy and disruption almost immediately. Now it does have some fragmentation going on for sure with some jacket. I can see it starting almost immediately right in here. 3 or 4 or 5 pieces all the way through here. There's your little insert. It dropped out right there, and the projectile is actually sitting backwards and has some really nice looking expansion to be so small. And then down below that, of course, is the Vanguard Fangs. Really nice looking stuff right here. It comes in here now. You don't have that really nice looking fluffy disruption immediately because it's trucking on. So it moves on through here, starts tumbling. That's some very, very nice energy transfer right there. You can always tell when it's charred like that, that means it's moving on and leaving some energy in its wake for sure. Definitely some tumbling right here multiple times. Really nice disruption. And then that thing kind of stabilizes, looks like backwards, and then keeps on trucking a little further into the second block. This one looks like it's about 2.5 to 3 inches into this second block, and it's sitting backwards and completely intact. So as far as the penetration, the critical defense here is at exactly 14.5 inches. So very, very nice on that one right there. And then your Vanguard Dragon Fang is out here to 18 3/4. So once again, in my opinion, that's absolutely fantastic penetration right there. And then here's your close-up look, critical defense up top, Vanguard on the bottom. Now, definitely got a nicer, fluffier looking disruption going on there with the critical defense early on, but then that Vanguard catches up when it starts doing its tumbling right there. Really, really nice energy transfer from both of these rounds. There's your critical defense with some nice expansion. The Vanguard keeps on rolling, and then there you see it there. Top view is going to be a little bit tricky. I kind of got to get you in an angle, but looks pretty much the same. Critical defense looks the same from basically all views, and then that Vanguard with that tumbling disruption right there. Keep on following it. Again, there's your critical defense. And then down there is your Vanguard. All right, let's check out these projectiles, y'all. Obviously, easy to tell which is which. This is your Hornady critical defense. This is that Vanguard Dragon Fang here. I keep saying Dragon Fang. I don't know if it's Black Dragon Fang, Obsidian, Black Fang. I've seen several different names that it was called, but we just call it the Dragon Fang. But as you can see here, they both did what they're supposed to do. This was not supposed to do any kind of deformation, obviously, if it didn't hit anything hard. Not sure what it would do on a hard surface, but I definitely intend to find that out. This one here, as you can see, very, very nice expansion. Really, really nice mushroom. Looks like that thing got all the expansion it was supposed to get just based on the little surface down there on the mushroom. You can see they're pretty much held together. I think the bulk of any material that got lost, which I can see in the gel, is the jacket. But other than that, it doesn't look like much lead got lost. And then again, obviously, pointy boy here, it didn't lose anything. Let's see just how much the critical defense did lose. It started at 40 grains, and it's actually down to 34.0 grains. So it's actually down to what this Vanguard is supposed to start it at. So 34 grains. And it's actually at 34.4 grains. So pretty interesting. The Vanguard, just because of manufacturing tolerances, ended up a little bit heavier than the critical defense that started out heavier. And then on your sizes here, we'll do the just the diameter on this critical defense here. You got 325 and 318. So nice expansion again for what it is anyway. And then on the Fang here, we're just going to do a base and a length on it. So your base diameter, you got 221 with a length of 668. And there you go, y'all, the 5.7 by 28 Hornady critical defense versus the Vanguard Outfitters Black Dragon Fang. Very nice performance from both of these in my opinion. Now, y'all know I'm not the greatest 5.7 by 28 fan in the world, but really, really nice performance for this round. The critical defense, it just showed again every single time. It's done really, really well. Now, on the other hand, this Vanguard right here, this is the best of the best in my opinion. It is the best that I have tested so far in my personal opinion. I think the penetration is fantastic. The disruption from the tumbling is plenty adequate for what this round is. And you got some nice energy transfer again for what this round is. If I were personally carrying a 5.7 by 28 for EDC, this is what it would be loaded with. This is kind of another one of those cases where this basically, I think of it as the Buffalo bore of 5.7. Y'all know I run Buffalo bore 180 grain 10 mil, period. period. It is incredibly expensive, yes, and it doesn't offer that much more over some other brands, but it does offer more. And if I'm using something for EDC, I'm carrying the best that I can absolutely find, the best options that I can find, in my opinion. I want the best performance that I think is the best, in my opinion. And in my opinion, this is the best 5.7 by 28 round that I've tested so far. Now, with that being said, we all know what one of the big claims to fame is with 5.7 by 28, and that's going through the soft stuff. So y'all stay tuned, because I've got some soft and hard barriers that we're going to do some testing with, and we're going to get down to the bottom of it once and for all. Myself personally, can this stuff go through what some people claim it can go through? All right, y'all, this may not be some good weather to do any testing out here, but that was definitely some good performance we just saw. I think both of these did a really nice job. The critical defense, we pretty much knew what we were going to see there, and it gave us basically the same thing that it's given us on the previous two tries. Now, again, the velocity was a little bit lower this time overall, probably because of this weather, because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's absolutely freezing out here. It's freezing to the point where I may not even do no more tests out here today, y'all. I know it doesn't look like it, but it is incredibly cold out here right now. As far as these Vanguard Dragon Fangs, again, I think these are the best 5.7 by 28 rounds that I personally tested. They've got more energy. The penetration is absolutely fantastic. That solid copper round, after seeing what it did here, I'm starting to feel a little more like it may go through some of the stuff that people claim it goes through. And again, I've got some stuff on the way. It's supposed to get delivered, I think maybe today or tomorrow, so I'm gonna try to get that stuff done next week if it's not too freezing cold out here. Now, like I mentioned, it is very expensive, but you know, the whole premise of having to go out and get 1,000 rounds and come out here and practice and train with what you're carrying, if this is it, that's just not the case. You don't need to do that. I can tell you right now that all three rounds that I ran out here today, these Vanguards, the critical defense, and those FN VMAX that I use those to get my point of impact out here on some paper before I went to the gel. They all hit exactly the same. They all hit exactly the same point of impact with that Rock 5.7. So yeah, if I'm personally sure enough EDC in 5.7 by 28, it's going to be loaded up with these Vanguard Dragon Fangs 100%. Now, I don't EDC 5.7 by 28, so I don't even have any of these, and I personally don't plan on getting any because I don't really plan on ever EDC in 5.7. But let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Do any of y'all out there that do run 5.7, do you run some of these Black Fangs? If you do, what do you think about them? What do you think about the performance you saw out here today? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Big thanks again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a lot more really good stuff on the way, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.